Hello everyone from Brown Hills. This is Mrs. Perry here, taking you to the first lesson of the rainforest biome. If you have a look at our lesson objective today, it's to outline the location and the characteristics of a tropical rainforest. Grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper because you're going to be completing some activities from the learning today. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay, to start off Year 7, I want you to have a look at the image that's in front of you and just try and get your heads around the fact that we are going to be looking at a rainforest today. What does a rainforest physically look like? Is it crowded? Is there lots of open space? What kinds of plants can you see? Just 30 seconds, maybe have a discussion with someone in your family what this image looks like to you. And what does it show about rainforests? Okay, so tropical rainforests cover about 2% of the Earth's surface, not a great amount. Yet they're home to over half of the world's plants and animals. They're found in a broad belt close to the equator, which we're going to have a look at now. So for your first task point, I want you to tell me where rainforests are located. So on your piece of paper, use the clue words at the bottom of the screen and describe to me where rainforests are located. See if you can name countries, continents, and if they're near the equator. Don't forget Year 7, at each task point you can pause the video to complete the activity before we go on to self-marking. So moving on to the next, I want you to self-mark your answer. So you should have identified that the main areas of a tropical rainforest are in Central Africa, located in the middle of the map, Southeast Asia, South America, which is actually home to the largest tropical rainforest, and parts of Australia. Some of you will know the Australian rainforest from if you've ever watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, because that's where they film their program. So the largest area of the tropical rainforest is located in the Amazon. This is found in South America and it's the largest tropical rainforest in the world. The world's tropical rainforests are mainly on the equator, which is the big black line that's running through the map. This is because there's lots of sun here, and so because of there being lots of sun, the heat draws up the moisture from the ground, creates moist air which rises, and that eventually creates heavy rainfall. Make sure in a different coloured pen or that you're adding to your notes with the extra detail from this self-marking session. So now we're going to move on to look at the climate of a tropical biome. There's a new word that I've put in there, Year 7, a biome. This means a large-scale ecosystems because, as you know, ecosystems can be of all shapes and sizes. The tropical rainforest like an equatorial climate. That means that most of them are found on the equator. They really like to have high temperatures, over 27 degrees centigrade, nearly every day throughout the whole year. So they don't have seasons like we do. They won't have autumn, winter, spring or summer. They just have one continuous season of very high temperatures over 27 degrees centigrade. They also have lots and lots of rainfall. Now I know living in the UK it can feel like we have lots of rainfall, but it's nothing compared to the rainfall that they have in the Amazon rainforest. Over 2,000 millimetres on average per year, and that's a huge amount of water to be going into that system. With this high temperature and high rainfall, it creates the perfect growing conditions for plants, and that's why in a rainforest they have what we call a very high biodiversity. Lots and lots of plants and animals living within one small space. So for your second task point, what I'd like you to do is describe the climate of Manaus in Brazil. In front of you, you can see a climate graph. Now, climate graphs show 3 pieces of information. Along the bottom, you've got the months of the year. So you can see it runs from January all the way through to December across that bottom. Going up, you've got bars showing the rainfall. So these big blue bars are showing you how much rainfall happens throughout the year in a rainforest. And the red line with the little red diamonds on them, that's showing temperature. And if you have a look onto the right side of the graph, you will see that you've got your temperature line there going from 5 degrees centigrade up to 35 degrees centigrade. And you can see for most of the year that is constant, hovering around the 27 degrees centigrade mark. However, rainfall does differ in the rainforest. There are some times when the rainfall is still high, but not as high as certain months in the year. Your job for task point 2 is to use these speech bubbles to try and answer the question from the climate graph. You've got 30 seconds. Right, Year 7, let's have a look at how you got on at completing those activities. So you can see on the screen now you've got the answers from those speech bubbles. So the temperature is the same all year round for your first speech bubble. Rainfall is very high in the months of February, March and April, you should have as your answer. And the month with the least amount of rainfall is August, with just 50 millimetres of rain. And if some of you put the actual figures in there, talked about how much rainfall or how high the temperatures were, well done. That is a fantastic achievement. And well done to everybody if you got those answers correct. Let's move on. So our next task point, I want you to watch the video link here that talks about the rainforest ecosystem. Create a mind map while you're watching the video and try and give as many describing words as you can to say what that ecosystem looks like. So having watched that video, Year 7, you should have seen some words that probably you're not used to seeing. So I've just put some video notes on here to explain what those key terms mean. The first one is a liana. This is the geography term given to vines that link the trees together. These are the ones that Tarzan would have swung from in the cartoons that you've seen. I'm sure you've seen the Disney one. The equator is our line of latitude where rainforests are found. The Amazon is found in Brazil. Just a recap of that. It's the largest rainforest in the world. 27 degrees Celsius is the temperature in the rainforest on average all year round. Low pressure, and this is what creates the rainfall within the ecosystem of a rainforest. 2,000 millimetres is the average amount of rainfall per year. Biodiversity is a word we've talked about earlier, which is a large range of plants and animals. The rainforest actually has a very thin soil and it doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it either, which you should have found out from the video. All the nutrients are taken up in the plants. So some people think that because there's lots of plants in the rainforest that the soil must be really good, and that's not the case at all. The soil is actually quite a low quality. The reason that lots of plants and animals exist there is because of the hot temperatures and because of the amount of rainfall, allowing all the plants to grow and taking nutrients up that way. Emergence is given the name for the tall trees that stick out from the canopy, and we're going to be moving on to look at the structure of a rainforest in just a moment. So this is part of the video where you did see the layers of the rainforest, and I've put it in a diagram here for you. The layers of the rainforest are built because they're all after sunlight. So that's the main aim of the game in a rainforest. They're all fighting for light to help them photosynthesize and to grow. At the very top, about 38 metres above the ground, you've got the emergent layer. These are our big, tall trees of the rainforest. Sometimes they can be over 200 years old. In the canopy, which is about 29 metres above the ground level, this is normally where you're going to get most of the trees and also most of the animal species. The birds, the monkeys, the insects, the snakes will all live in this canopy layer. And that's because they can access the light and also the fruits that the trees produce. In the understory, you've got the small trees that are growing and competing for that sunlight. You've also got here quite a lot of shade tolerant trees because they won't have a lot of sunlight at this layer, 17 metres above the ground. And in the undergrowth, sometimes called the understory, you will have very small plants, shrub-like plants, and they will like to live in very damp and dark conditions. You may even have a houseplant that originally would have been in this part of the rainforest if they have purple leaves. These are often plants that are found in this shrub layer because they don't need the sunlight to make their leaves green, hence the different colour. Is to make a copy of this structure of the rainforest and see if you can write down any labels next to it from what you found out from the video and our lesson today. Remember to pause this point or the screen before to draw your diagram, and then we'll move on to the next section. Right, well done Year 7 for completing that diagram and the task points so far. Your last task point is to create a poster for me to describe the location and the features of a tropical rainforest that you've found out today. Now I've put some sentence starters on there for you to help you with your poster. I want lots of pictures, lots of colour, but also quite a bit of writing to tell me what you've learnt today. It'd be really nice if you could take a photo of those and send them into the geography website at Brown Hills, so then I can have a look at them and give you some geography certificates. I've also included some keywords for you if you're struggling, and don't forget there's lots of things available on the internet to help you with this task. Thank you so much for the lesson today, Year 7. There is a YouTube channel that you can log on to here that will take you to a video clip showing you about the rainforest, and there's so much available on YouTube to have a look at as well. Try and stick to just the rainforest ecosystem for now. We'll be looking at the Amazon rainforest in a bit more detail in the next few lessons. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll look forward to our lesson next time. Bye-bye.